Hello, Gaston County. Welcome to episode number 102 of Gaston's Great, a podcast highlighting some of the great things happening in and around Gaston County. I'm your host, Stephen Long, and we're coming to you once again from the worldwide headquarters of GSM Services right here in downtown Gastonia. We have another great episode today as we highlight Strong Like AK. We have Kim Webb with us today. Kim is the executive director of the organization. Kim, it's great to have you on, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So, as usual, we're going to get right to it. So, Kim, if you don't mind, can you maybe just start with, obviously we're going to get to the organization for the majority of our discussion, but kind of maybe just first tell us a little bit about yourself, anything that you would like to share for our listeners.
So my name is Kim Webb. I am the executive director of Strong Like AK. I am also Adam's mom. Strong Like AK was founded in 2021, right after Adam's passing. He had a rare and aggressive cancer. In addition to that, I am from Gaston County, as well as my family. Born and raised here. I went to Ashburn High School. I have a son that is currently a senior at Forest View High School. We are in the college phase, so looking at college and all that good stuff. My husband Jeremy is also from here.
Okay.
We're deeply embedded in Gaston County for sure.
So my wife would kill me for asking this question because I'm an Ashbrook guy as well.
Yep.
So what year did you finish?
I graduated in 2000. Yeah.
So just a few years after I was there, and my wife. So
well, my mom went there. My dad went to Hus. So my family has been here, for quite some time as well. So yeah.
All right. So it's good to have a Green Wave episode, right, Naomi? Yes. Again. Yeah. I'm same here. I mean, we're from here, and I have my youngest is a senior this year as well at Forest View.
Yeah. So Andrew's at Forest View as well. So
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I bet they know each other.
Most likely.
So you mentioned it a little bit. So again, the main point here today is let's hear about Strong Like AK, and I would encourage you listeners to go to the website and just get ready. I spent some time on there, and it's a terrific website. But if you spend any time there reading about the story, you I don't know, have to be a zombie not to be impacted by it in some way. So just tell us a little bit about Strong Like AK. You just mentioned when and why a little bit. What's the mission of the organization? You mentioned you're the executive director. So just kind of anything that you'd like to share on that point.
So Strong Like AK, like I said, was founded in 2021 in honor of my son Adam. He battled an 18-month. He battled an 18-month.
You don't need to apologize. Yeah.
Battle against an aggressive cancer known as nut carcinoma. It is very, very rare. 1 in 200 diagnoses a year.
Wow.
We have come to learn that a lot of that gets misdiagnosed as lung cancer, so there may be several more that go misdiagnosed, over the years. With that being said, Adam, he began to get sick in January of the year of his diagnosis, so that would have been January of 2019. He developed a cough, and doctors kept saying that he had pneumonia, and it just wasn't healing. Given the fact that he was very, very healthy, no one even thought.
Yeah, healthy and young would not be that would not be the first place they go, right?
Right. No one even thought that cancer would be in question. It wasn't until one morning he woke up and he could not walk, and he was in excruciating pain, that we had to take him to the ER, and they finally did scans and found a very large tumor consuming his entire left lung, which also had consumed part of his vertebrae in his spine, which was causing him not to walk. With that being said, they immediately sent us to Levine Children's. So Adam's treatment was at Levine Children's. We did various treatments, chemo, radiation. He had 2 major surgeries, one that he had his entire left lung removed, and open heart surgery because the tumor had wrapped itself around the pericardium of his heart. I think back and everything that he went through is just, it amazes me how amazing he truly was and how strong he truly was. When we finally got the diagnosis back, it took a while. They had sent off, the tumor and everything, did their research, came back as nut carcinoma. He was given 3 to 6 months to live. He surpassed that by many months, obviously. With the various treatments, like I said, chemo, radiation, we did 3 clinical trials that failed. And then, unfortunately, in October of 2020, he took a turn for the worse and passed on October 2nd. Strong Like AK was derived from us sitting in a hospital room. We have a very big blended family. When I say big, so it's me and my husband, Adam's dad, his wife. They have children, and I have children. So when we would go to the hospital, this was pre-COVID, there was 10 to 15, maybe sometimes 20 people in a hospital room at the time. There was no limitation. So one evening we were all sitting around. There was a lot of talk, people wanting to know what was going on with Adam. I mean, he was a young man at South Point High School at that time. So obviously being a high school student, word spread fast. People wanted to know. People wanted to ensure that he was okay. So we felt like we needed to come up with a name that's well-suited his journey. And we started a Facebook group called Strong Like AK. That group grew to about 5,000 followers very quickly, which, is a wonderful thing when you're going through such a difficult journey to have a wonderful community support. And I think that speaks volumes to this community in itself. When Adam passed, we wanted to, when I say we, our family, our blended family, wanted to do something to support other kids walking this journey. Strong Like AK became a great way for us to channel our grief and takes such a tragic situation and turn it into good for others. So,
all right, so that's quite a story. And if she can be really detailed that well, but you can get a little more detail. Again, I'm going to encourage our listeners to go to the website. Even a trip to, I think, Boston as well, in all that. So,
yes, and that kind of plays into some of our programs right now. Our mission is to financially care for children and families going through pediatric cancer journey. We support them through wishes granted, bill pay, medical expenses that are, that insurance doesn't cover.
So many things you just don't think of unless you're in that situation.
Yes, and, we would have never experienced that. I mean, you see St. Jude and all these research hospitals, and it's great that financially money goes towards that because research is 100% necessary for these kids. There's not a lot of treatment for them. We wanted to be unique in a sense that we wanted to support financial care because we had a great deal of financial support going through this journey, which was much needed. Temporary housing is another program that we support. There are a lot of children coming to the Charlotte area to receive life-saving care at Levine. People I feel like, are somewhat unaware of the great clinical trials and the amazing programs that they have at Levine Children, and we house a great deal of them. The problem with housing right now is temporary housing is very limited. Communal housing, such as Ronald McDonald House and others, they book up.
Oh, yeah.
And, cancer isn't a planned event. It's a lot of it's very on the fly, very quick, decisions that you have to make. So a lot of times when children go on these clinical trials, it's not pre-planned. It's just what's the next step of hope to keep my child alive. So when these children come to the Charlotte area, a lot of times they don't have housing, and we thought we could be unique in a sense and create a great temporary housing program to facilitate the need of housing here.
I saw that on the website as well. So, I think you get to be my age. Well, you know what? I would actually say most people have been impacted on one way or another by cancer.
Right.
But not necessarily pediatric cancer.
Right.
And so that's why, and one of our focuses here at GSM anyway, with a lot of the community stuff we do, is children and youth. I mean, that's just, whether it's leadership, whether it's the Boys and Girls Club, whether it's whatever, there's just so many needs in our community. But this one is really unique, in my opinion. So can you talk about maybe, I'm not sure this is the right word. I mean, you've mentioned the housing already. Are there any other initiatives specific things? I mean, you mentioned several, so this may be a dumb question, which is typical of me, but any other initiative? I think you recently just had an event.
We did.
I saw that.
We did.
Yeah.
It was great. We have a great deal of work that we do outside of just those initial programs. We do a yearly scholarship for graduating seniors in Gaston County. So far, we've given away $20,000 to graduating seniors.
That's terrific.
It is a $5,000 scholarship that is given away each year. It is not merit-based. However, you must be going into a 2 or 4 year program into college. We base it on qualities and characteristics of Adam: kindness, friendship, the qualities that he was able to give our community.
Right.
Excuse me. He was an amazing kid, and we wanted folks to remember who Adam was. I mean, as the years goes on, I feel like a lot of times, especially with the death of the child, things get quiet.
Oh, sure.
So by us developing these programs, having Strong Like AK, still being involved in the community and children, I think this is a great way to preserve Adam's legacy.
Sure.
In addition to that, we have a great teen leadership program. We have 32
like a
teens.
teen board or something on
so we
the
have
website?
32 teens this year.
Wow.
That are heavily involved in Strong Like AK, volunteer efforts. We have monthly meetings. We bring in different speakers throughout Gaston County that can develop these kids on the leadership side of being involved in the community. So that's another great way that we've connected and kind of tried to keep the legacy of Adam alive. We 100% feel like teens and kids are our future.
Oh, sure. No question.
So having them heavily involved in our organization is very important to us. I know you mentioned our event this past weekend. It was a whirlwind. I always feel like when we have these great events, we put in all this work and then it's over in 5 minutes. But so I don't have the big number yet, but we had the Building Hope Gala. It is our big fundraising event every year. This is our second annual. Last year, we raised a little over $100,000 to support our programs. This year, I think we're very close to 160.
Oh, wow.
So it was a beautiful
good for you.
evening. Yes, there was a lot of love in the room. We had over 200 people attending. So, it was a great night for community for sure. And for Strong Like AK.
Okay, well, very good. Yeah, it's just, I think listeners like to hear some of the specifics maybe, and then it's great to hear the event. I mean, I kind of hate that weren't able to do this before that.
Right.
But
hey, that's okay.
You know what?
We'll know next year, right?
Well, I think that's typical of the Gaston's Great podcast.
We have also, I'd like to mention, we have a golf tournament every year. We're actually going into our 4th year. So that was the first fundraiser that we ever did. We hold it at Kramer Mountain Club. It's been uber successful every year, raising about $60,000 for pediatric cancer patients.
When is that typically?
May. Every
okay.
May. Yep, every May.
And I'm
it's
assuming
actually May 6th next year.
Okay, I'm assuming that's something they can find on the social media pages.
Yes, social media,
website.
Okay. It's all there.
Is it typically sold out?
It sells out very, very
okay,
quickly.
Great. That's good to hear.
Yes, sells out very, very quickly. So, once that goes up, people are really excited about it. I think when it's over every year, people are asking when the next one is. So, I think it's a great way to bring community together. Adam didn't like golf, but he tried his hand at it a few times.
Well, that's funny. I grew up in a golf family, but I don't really play anymore. I did for a long time, and my son never really took it up. But boy, my dad and other friends have done it forever.
It.
But
sure.
But that is frankly, it's just a classic fundraiser, right? Because you can include it's just fun, right?
It's casual enough
fun,
that
outdoor.
Everybody can be a part,
yeah.
And it's proven to be very successful for us. So we've just kept going with it over the last few years, and like I said, we're on year 4.
So a question I'd like to ask, if possible, I know this is going on, a few years with Strong Like AK. Is there an anecdotal story or something you can think of a specific impact, obviously without sharing any specific names or anything, but something that you've seen like, wow, it could be with the team leadership. It could be just with a family that that you guys were able to impact. Is there a story or something you can share where, wow, this is why this
Yes.
shows why we started this.
Absolutely. I mean, surprisingly, and not surprisingly to us, but maybe surprisingly to the community, there's a lot of kids in Gaston County that are currently battling childhood cancer.
Yeah.
And although we work with living children, and a lot of the kids that we do, support are not necessarily from Gaston County, but as soon as we catch wind of someone that is in Gaston County and struggling, we 100% are on board to support them, whether it's through Living or through us finding a way to contact them ourselves and figure out what the best support method is. We're there. We have had 4 kids that we've supported directly out of Gaston County. One was super special. We granted a wish this year. He is dealing with a relapsed brain tumor. We were able to rent out a suite for him at the Charlotte Knights Stadium and give them an all-exclusive access to a game, fully catered.
Nice.
He had 30 of his friends there. Wishes granted, that kind of falls into the whole wishes granted category. Adam was able to make a wish trip to California. And in our travels, not only there, but to Boston and to all the other places that we were able to travel with him, we found that making those memories is something that will last a lifetime. Even if there's a positive outcome and, the child does not pass, those are memories that you won't get back. And for us, it's so important, especially if we know the child is terminal or very, very sick, we want to provide that experience for them. We had another young lady who wanted a gaming computer for Christmas. We were able to provide that for her this past Christmas. And then another young man, he wasn't from here. He's actually from Georgia. This past year, we sent him to California. He loved the San Diego Zoo. He would watch the animals on like a news feed when he was getting chemo treatment, and that's all he wanted to do was go to the San Diego Zoo. So we were able to provide part of that trip for him.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I know when I was on doing a little research, it looks like, it is not just you. This is taking on a role nationally almost, right? And it's not just, so well done. I mean. Thank
you. I mean, our hope is to make this bigger than just Gaston County at some point. The growth of Strong Like AK came very fast. We were unsure of what that would look like when we started. I mean, we knew we had a ton of community support, and we knew we didn't want to lose that coming out of Adam's journey. So, Strong Like AK was very fitting for us. But as you said, a lot of the kids aren't even here in Gaston County. They travel to Living Children's to receive treatment from all over the world. I mean, I've helped kids that are in other countries with expenses, on the sad side of things, when kids pass away and they're from, say, Israel, we have had to pay for funeral expenses over there. I mean, there's a lot that goes into to helping these kids and these families that people are pretty unaware of at times, I think.
Yeah, we probably get us who have not ever dealt with that. Like I said earlier, we first think of just medical expenses. Right. But there's so many other things that go along with that.
We were very fortunate. I mean, our insurance took care of a lot. There were times that we had to fight to get things covered for Adam. I mean, insurance can be a struggle sometimes for a lot of people. I think we were on the good side of that, where a lot of stuff for Adam was covered, but some of these kids can't even receive treatment because they have to pay out of pocket, and their families can't afford that. Mom and dad has to work. What happens when mom and dad can't work because they have to take care of their child around the clock?
Or travel, right?
Travel. Us going to Boston is a perfect example. I had to quit my job. No one wanted to leave Adam behind. When we went on the clinical trial in Boston, we lived there for 3 months. We stayed in an Airbnb. Thank goodness for our community that supported us financially to allow us to do that. He had his own space. We weren't limited to just 2 people traveling with him, but a lot of families are.
Right.
And I guess that could bring me to our whole temporary housing thing with the Strong Like AK house, if you don't mind me going into that.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, please.
The Strong Like AK house, we've actually purchased land in Mount Holly. We are building the first Strong Like AK house, which will serve as temporary housing for these kids that are traveling to our area to receive treatment. It is a single-family home. It will not be communal living. With that being said, that's important to us because we knew how important it was to Adam to keep our family together. As I said, mom and dad, only one person can typically travel with them due to they can't leave their job behind. They can't leave the kids behind. But by us providing a single-family home, mom, dad, brother, sister, everyone can come along. And, it's very difficult for a child to go through cancer treatment, but I think it's even more difficult to do it alone.
Oh, sure.
So, I think us going into the temporary housing area of childhood cancer, we are providing something very unique that a lot of people don't have. And I think it's going to be a great thing for this community for sure.
Well, good.
And we're not stopping at one.
Yeah.
We want multiple houses.
Yeah, it'd be nice that you wouldn't need multiple houses, right?
It would be nice.
But
the need is great.
But that's great.
Yeah.
And so, it's good to, and I think it's interesting, all the people we've spoken to in the last 2.5 years, so many things start like this and have no idea where it's going to go, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then here we are.
For sure. I mean, we had probably like a 7-year plan that the house was going to be 5 to 7 years out. I was shocked when we were able to purchase the land in year 2 outright.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say I was shocked. I should have probably say that our community is that great that I should have known. But you don't know. You don't know what that's going to look like. So being able to do that is amazing. And obviously we could not do it without the support of the people surrounding us every day.
You've probably already answered this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Is there something you can pinpoint that maybe you're most proud of accomplishing, with the organization?
Yeah, I would 100% say the house, for sure. Again, when we started Strong Like AK, we knew we wanted to alleviate financial burden, but we also wanted to be unique in a sense of what could we do that is signature to us and meaningful to us. And the whole temporary housing space, it definitely is. When we had to travel with Adam, again, our blended family, there was eight of us going places at one time. I know that even our team over at Levine's, they would see us coming and they would feel the pressure, because normally they're dealing with one mom or one dad, but dealing with 6 people in a room, they were just somewhat intimidated sometimes, but they've always said it's unlike any other they've ever seen. And, I think that's important with kids and their cancer treatment. The more support, the better. Adam loved his family and he loved his friends and he loved having people around him. Even feeling at his worst, he wanted people there.
Yeah, having I've only still have one teenager, but my favorite part of the video on the website probably was the friends talking about it. Yeah, because I could see, my daughter's involved with cross country and soccer, and so I could envision, that being her friends,
right? And the thing about Adam is that video actually was a last minute. How many kids can we get here? Which they were all very close to him. There were so many close friends of Adam. Yeah. He was one of those kids that just naturally attracted people, whether he tried or not. He just was very dynamic, funny, loving, kind. People loved him. And, I mean, man, it overwhelms my heart to think about what an amazing person he was.
Sure.
And all the great things that his friends have said. And, even when he was going through his treatment, just his friends there lifting him up and being there for him. What can I do for you? Can we come over and just lay in the bed with you? Can we just come over and sit and look at you? If you don't want to talk to us, can we just be in the room with you? I think it's great. It's amazing what kids can do to support others.
I have learned through illnesses, issues, tragedies in my own life and family, oftentimes it is just presence.
It is, yeah.
Because I think we, if we're trying to help or support somebody, we want to say something, or we want to, we want to say the right thing. And oftentimes I have found myself saying the wrong thing,
right.
just out of.
And sometimes you just can't even find the words,
right,
but just being there and saying, hey, I'm here. Whatever you need is just as important, I think cancer definitely changed Adam as it progressed, his journey. He became a little more reclusive. But, I could only imagine. I mean, a lot of that anxiety and, your life changes dramatically. You're not living your day to day, going to school and seeing your peers. So it definitely changed him. But, when his friends would come around or when they made sure that they were there for him, you could always see that little spark left in him, that they brought out for sure. So I think kids and friends and family and just like you said, the presence is very important during a time like that.
I've also learned that kids, especially middle school, high school kids, they're more resilient than I think we give them credit for.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, sometimes much more than me. You know?
Yeah. I mean, Adam 100%, his friends lost a dear friend at the age of 16 years old.
Yeah.
His siblings lost a brother. Andrew was 14. The girls were, they were young at the time. I think they were 5 and 7. And life keeps moving. He's greatly missed, and we know that, and the kids often reflect that. But on the resilient side of things, they're still living day to day, and that's just how life goes, But having Strong Like AK and something as impactful as we're doing and preserving Adam's legacy makes that all worth it.
So you've already mentioned, looking ahead, you've already mentioned hopefully multiple houses.
Sure.
What else? Anything else looking ahead with the future? That classic question is 5 to 10 years, but I'm not, the way things change in our world, I don't know if that's even legitimate anymore. But just looking ahead, how do you see the future of Strong Like AK?
I mean, our hope is to expand into, we are very much embedded in Gaston County. Our hope is to, we're slowly expanding into Mecklenburg and other counties as well. Okay. I would love to see us have a house in Boston. We're heavily tied there for Adam's treatment. We loved it there. Adam loved it there. I know that there's a lot of kids that travel to the Georgia area for treatment, such as Adam when he went on his clinical trial. So I would love to see us have a house there. Eventually I would love to see us at least expand on the East Coast. Okay. If not nationwide, I think that's probably a good 10 years out, but who knows?
That's right.
I didn't think we would be here today where we are now. So, I think
and you're peeking out today on Gaston's Great podcast,
I know.
Right?
That's wonderful.
Taking a step back. So what would you say, what's the greatest current need for the organization? Is there anything specific there, volunteers, donations, or anything you can think of?
Yeah, so we are kicking off our huge campaign for the Strong Like AK House, obviously. Okay. We are currently getting services donated. We have electrical, plumbing, roofing, all of those donated so far. We are looking to get, other items donated to build this house, to actually help complete the build. So that's there. Donations are always great. Monetary donations always go to the financial care of the kids, medical bills, medical expenses. To date, we've paid out about $80,000 in medical expenses, wishes granted. So obviously the need is there. I think those are two of our big focus. Okay. Volunteer-wise, yes, we're always in need of volunteers. I would imagine once the Strong Like AK house build actually starts, which should start early to late winter, I would imagine then lots of volunteers are going to be needed to help facilitate the build of the house. Once the house is built, we're going to have volunteers to help, on day-to-day operations with the house.
Sure.
There will be a ton of volunteer opportunities coming up for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So this has been really good, Kim. I appreciate your time. Is there anything I haven't asked that I should have asked? Obviously, before we finish, we'll make sure our listeners know where to go, where to find more information out, donate, or anything like that. But anything I haven't asked that I should have asked?
No, I think that we've pretty much covered everything. From temporary housing to the patient financial care, all of those. Yeah, okay. I think we're pretty much covered for sure.
All right, so we're going to shift gears just briefly for some Gaston County questions, not some of the ones that Naomi used to make me ask. We've changed them up a little bit. But, when you're not working or not saving the world with Strong Like AK, what is anything else, any favorite activity or park or anything you'd like to do around here in Gaston County?
Yeah, I mean, we love to spend our time in downtown Belmont.
Belmont's great.
Yeah, it's one of our favorite places to be. I'm a foodie, so I like to eat. I like to go out and eat. I love coffee shops.
It's okay to plug where you work as well. While
Yeah,
we're
I
on
know.
here.
I could put a plug in there for the lodge. I mean, I work there, obviously, so
That's great.
It's a great place to be for sure. I mean, Belmont is very up and coming. I love the growth. I'm very glad that I decided to work in such a fulfilling community. Belmont's great, so we like to spend a lot of time there for sure.
What is something very few people know about you?
Oh man. No, you put me on the spot. I wasn't ready for this one.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Let's see. I love arts and crafts, and people don't know that. I just do a lot of just tinkering around my house. I love DIY projects.
My wife and you would probably get along very well.
Yeah, my husband doesn't love it so much, but
I'll have no comment.
I like gardening. I love plants.
Okay,
So probably DIY, and then gardening and plants is probably my two. My husband said if I bring another plant home that we're in trouble. So
what about what's the last craft project you did?
I actually made shirts for some girls at work.
Okay.
So that's the last crafting project I did. And then I'm actually getting ready to paint both of my bathrooms at home. So yeah.
That's a no-go for
But
Steven.
I love doing stuff like that.
Well, good for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, my wife is all about
It's
that.
soothing, peaceful. It's something I can divulge into and just
Not-
be in my own world.
Not long after we got married, we had our first project inside our relatively new house for us.
Sure.
A weekend project, including painting, turned into like a 6-weekend
Oh,
project.
yeah.
And
Painting can
that-
be
that
one of
pretty
those
m-
projects that you think you can get done really quickly. and
that pretty much cured me of the desire to do that ever again. It was
Never
26 years ago, maybe.
Yep.
And so we've survived this long without me doing anything. How about a book or blog or article or something that you've read? Well, it doesn't have to be recently. Anything you might recommend to our listeners?
Let's see. I don't have a ton of time for reading. I wish I could say that I did.
Okay.
I do like
That's a common answer, actually.
and this is funny. I like listening to podcasts, and y'all are probably going to laugh because I'm such a nerd. But I love listening to marketing podcasts. Marketing and leadership podcasts are probably my two favorite.
My queue is full of, well, probably for me for obvious reasons, but what you're doing is the same, is similar to trying to learn
and I think
promotion.
that's just ongoing learning for myself. And with the role that I'm in, I love just soaking up knowledge about this space. I'm very much self-taught in the nonprofit world. I've had some great mentors, other executive directors that have been in the nonprofit space for long term, but I didn't have anybody guiding me to set this up and to start this. We just kind of on a whim did it on our own. Lots of research, lots of listening, lots of learning. So that's kind of something I do on the part-time is I just love learning and I love growing in this space.
Yeah, I've got several marketing and leadership podcasts I'd be happy to share with you that I think are really good.
Yeah.
And some of them are Christian based, but some of them are just purely business,
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, the team here gets sick of me sharing podcasts with them.
Yeah, my husband, when he gets in my car, he's like, do we have to listen to this?
Yeah. It's on and off when if I'm by myself, it's obvious. That's all I'm doing is listening. If I'm running,
Yep.
I'm listening to podcasts. If I'm
Yep.
doing yard work, I'm listening to podcasts. But
I'm with
I have
you.
to read the room, so to speak, when I'm in the car with my wife and kids,
Sure.
and so I might have to divulge into.
I'd say podcasts or
and-
Taylor Swift. I'm a Swiftie too, so.
Oh Lord,
I'm one of those.
Yeah, my wife and daughters went to see her in Atlanta.
I went to Nashville.
So
I was there for the rain show. It rained the entire time.
suddenly they're interested in NFL football
Right?
as well.
Travis Kelce.
It's amazing,
She made him famous, right?
Yes, exactly.
Kidding, I'm
like,
kidding.
he was famous before.
I know. I do know that.
Yeah, that's funny though. I mean, that is, but that's interesting when it comes to marketing and just.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting study actually.
Yep.
So listen, I appreciate you kind of indulged on a couple of those questions. A couple more questions, and we'll let you get out of here. But yeah, remember this is what we tried to do the last 2.5 years is kind of focus on Gaston County and what's positive at Gaston County. So besides obviously strong like AK, why else would you say Gaston County is such a great place?
Gaston County, the community in itself is just full of love. And, you know, I think that 100% goes back to Strong Like AK and our journey, because if it weren't for our community and this community lifting us up and wanting to be a part, whether it was a monetary donation or just a phone call or a meal, there was a lot of love and support during that time. But as this has continued, it's still there. The love and support in all spaces in Gaston County is amazing to me, whether it be our organization or, you know, United Way, Boys and Girls Club. I mean, the love and support just for a sense of community is amazing here. I've never left. I left for a few years, but I came right back home. And to me, this is home. It will always be home. And I think that really has to do a lot with the fact that our community is so wonderful.
Yeah, I've traveled. I mean, I spent a few years away at college.
Yeah.
And I've traveled enough, not just domestically, but overseas. And I can't be, you know, objective about it, obviously, but right. I think there's something unique about our community, and it's exactly what you just described.
Yeah.
I really
there's a
believe
lot of
that.
love for everyone. People in this community, I think, understand, you know, people go through struggles, communities struggle, but if you can provide a positive and lift people up and be impactful in any capacity, you know, I think our community does that very well. And I think that's what's really special about Gaston County for sure.
And I appreciate that. So last question, and I say this every episode, don't I? This is my favorite question that we ask of our guests. So you're going back maybe just a couple years after Ashbrook. Looking back, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
I think my advice would be find something you love, something you're passionate about, and stick with it. You know, it might be very difficult in the beginning, but, you know, difficulties bring empowerment. Difficulties, you know, struggles and difficulties can be hard, but I think if you stick with things and you have the power to invest yourself in something that you love, it can become great, for sure.
Kind of like what you're doing now.
Yeah, I wish I would have. I don't wish that I would have went through this at a younger age, but I wish I would have understood the ability to be impactful at such a young age.
Yeah, my experience, even my personal experience, is that too many times something has to happen.
It does,
and sometimes, it doesn't have to be bad.
No,
but sometimes it does. It does, yeah.
But you can be impactful, and you can bring support, and you can bring a sense of community at no matter what age.
Absolutely,
you are.
And I think most people, my experience, again, this is just, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I think most people undervalue the impact they can have.
Yeah.
They undervalue the impact they already have.
Right.
But they really undervalue the positive impact they can have on others.
And I think a lot of times, too, people think that it has to be like monetary or something of that
sort.
Or
something gigantic.
Yes, but it doesn't. It's the small things that truly count in the end. And, you know, even the smallest gesture can be impactful. So.
Very good. So, Kim, again, thank you for your time. And then, you know, I appreciate what you're doing. And your story is one that people gravitate to just because of what you're doing now, and again, there's so many good things happening in our community, and sometimes it comes from something bad. You know, we experienced something here 2.5 years ago at our company that was awful, and so many good things have come from that. You know, after. So again, I appreciate that. So for our listeners, where can they go to learn more about the organization, donate? You know, social media, just anything and everything you can share.
Yep. So they can go to www.stronglikeak.org, and our website is there. They can also go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at StrongLikeAK. The handle's the same for all three, so it's very easy to find us.
And I'm following you now on Facebook and
great.
Instagram.
Perfect.
Sorry, I'm not a TikTok guy.
We kind of created that because of the teens.
He's the TikTok person.
And we want the teens to kind of take
sure.
that space, because it seems like that's the kind of trend for them right now. So, you know, we're going to let them land in that space. It's very new to us, so you won't see much. But hopefully in the future you will see some of the kids involved in that. I would like to say our family is a blended family, as I said. This just is not something that Kim is doing. This is something that Kim, Phil, Emily, Jeremy, our whole family is involved in. I want people to know how important this is to our family, and just to say it's not Kim, it's everyone. And without them, we would not have this, for sure. And our board included. I mean, we have an amazing board of directors that's very invested in this community. Lots of great community members are involved in our organization. We have 15 members that sit on our board. So, without them, Strong Lake AK, and without our donor support, would not be here. And I'm very grateful, and I know that our family is, for sure.
Good. Well, listen, I appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And appreciate what you're doing. And so, as usual, I'm going to try to finish up with my own book recommendation and kind of quote or thought for the week. And I'm trying to be intentional about these when, depending on our guests for the week. But a book I just finished reading within the past couple of weeks, it's an older book, maybe 2015 or 2016 when it was written. It's called Real Heroes by a gentleman named Lawrence Reed. And it basically highlights 40 individuals who just made a big impact, whether it was in the medical world or, it's just it's just really good. Some of it was trying to think of a couple of examples that were in there. Jesse Owens was in there, is a good example. Roberto Clemente, some athletes who made an impact on the racial front here in America. So again, just take a read of that if you're interested. In my quote, a thought for the week comes from a gentleman named Doug Fireball. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. But he said, every day do something that will inch you closer to a better tomorrow. So I think what we've heard the last 30 minutes or so is exactly what Strong Lake AK is doing. They're doing things every single day to inch us closer to a better tomorrow. So again, just keep that thought maybe in the coming week and month when you're considering what organization to support and how to make our community a better place. So to our listeners out there, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. Please continue to spread the word if you can about our podcast. And please don't hesitate to contact us here at our email, which is podcast@gastonsgreat.com. We're always looking for suggestions for future podcast topics and guests. You can find the podcast and subscribe at the website, gastonsgreat.com, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And please follow us on all our social media platforms. And apparently, as Naomi reminds me, giving us a good 5-star rating helps the podcast get noticed. If you want to give less than a 5-star, then please don't. Go somewhere else. Thanks again to Kim for being our guest today. Gaston's Great is produced and brought to you by Naomi Hunt and Amy Anderson from GSM Services. I'm your host, Stephen Long. Thanks again for hanging out with us, and please keep coming back to hear more reasons why Gaston's Great.